Here's some news, especially if you're a Zelda fan. Just let's update this because this article is updated. In just 11 days, Skyward Sword has become Amazon's second bestseller of 2021. Before we get started to this article, make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you guys are new, and let me know down in the comment section, did you buy Skyward Sword HD? I did. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I did buy it. Oh man. Okay, so we'll read the original article because originally it was in 10 days it was its third bestseller, but now it's its second bestseller. The Amazon sales are anything to go by, and with Amazon being the world's biggest online retailer, we'd say they probably are. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD is having a very solid start to life indeed. A quick look at Amazon's list of best-selling games in 2021 reveals that Skyward Sword HD is already the company's third best-selling retail game of the year so far. Only Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury, which launched back in February, and the world-dominating Animal Crossing New Horizon have sold better at Amazon this calendar year, with Skyward Sword nabbing that third spot just after 10 days since launch. This data comes from Amazon's US site, but the game also achieved number ones in both the UK and Japan, suggesting retail performance is strong in those regions too. Not bad at all. If you're yet to try Skyward Sword HD yourself, you can order a physical copy and all that. And then updated. All it needed was one more day for Skyward Sword to overtake Animal Crossing as Amazon's second best-selling game of the year so far. Could have reached number one. That is insane. I'd like to know the numbers. I would honestly like to know the numbers when it comes to the sales of Skyward Sword. And the reason is because Skyward Sword's a bit of an oddball. It didn't really sell well on the Wii, and considering that it came at the end of the Wii's life cycle, and it got overshadowed by the announcement of the Wii U as well as the announcement of Breath of the Wild. So it was a very, very weird title. Not that it was a horridly bad game. The problem lied in the Wii motion controls. They weren't particularly well received. I didn't like them when I played it on the Wii, which is why I didn't even bother really playing the game, because I just couldn't get into the controls. And you know, with this update, not a remake, I want to say remake for a second. With this update, they went ahead and they fixed the controls. You can now use the controls on a regular controller to be able to fight, or you can use the Joy-Cons, which are much more accurate than the Wii remotes anyways. So either one would work for you, but besides just those, they fixed a lot of things that made the game have nice quality of life updates, which was very much needed when it came to Skyward Sword. So the fact that it's being sold well now, I mean, I'm glad that it is, okay, because there's a couple things going on here. You're talking about it's the 10th anniversary of Skyward Sword, and it's also the 35th anniversary of Zelda. So with Skyward Sword selling well, or Skyward Sword HD selling well, that leads me to believe that they would want to then follow up with other remasters, which I'm hoping that they do, because we already know that Wind Waker HD Remaster and Twilight Princess HD Remaster are both ready to go for the Switch. They've even flat out said, or not Nintendo themselves, but somebody behind the scenes has flat out said that HD remasters of both of those games are ready to go. They just haven't put them out yet for whatever reason. I don't know. But one of the things too also that I'm hoping they do is I'm hoping they do a remake of A Link to the Past. As some of you guys might be like, no, that's blasphemy, don't do it. But listen to me before you crucify me. A Link to the Past would be very easy for them to remake because they already have the assets to do it, using the same engine and a lot of the assets from Link's Awakening remake. They could remake A Link to the Past in the same vein and the same style, considering how they are linked together. You see what I did there? Pun intended. Link's Awakening takes place after A Link to the Past, after Link's adventure through Link to the Past and saving Hyrule and everything that he does. He goes off on an adventure he goes off on his boat looking for more adventures, and his journey leads him to being shipwrecked, and the events of Link's Awakening happen. So if they can do that remake, which was a surprise announcement last year, then they could go ahead and do a remake of Link's Awakening in that same vein. And God, I hope they do, because there's so many people who have not played Link's Awakening. And Link's Awakening, when I ask people what their favorite Zelda game is, most people will say Link's Awakening or Ocarina of Time. And in my opinion, both of those answers are correct. If you say Breath of the Wild, you're wrong. Just there's a lot of things I really don't like about Breath of the Wild. Honestly, I as a Zelda game, I don't like Breath of the Wild. I know that it was highly praised, and a lot of people do like Breath of the Wild, but I personally don't like Breath of the Wild. It's one of my least favorite Zelda games, and you know, it goes because there's a lot of, like, for example, the whole open world aspect. It's too open world. It wasn't necessary. You also have the fact that music's not prevalent in the game. One of the things for me for a Zelda game, Zelda games usually stand out because of their music, and it gives you that sense of adventure. You know, you're going off on an adventure when you go into the, you know, Hyrule Field. You know, you hear the theme music playing. In Breath of the Wild, you don't. It's just quiet. It's empty. The whole game just feels empty, and that's why I don't like it. And I understand why it's empty. I mean, it's part of the lore of Breath of the Wild, but still, it's too empty. I don't like it. And the fact that, like, my daughter, for example, she plays Breath of the Wild. She's beaten Ocarina of Time so many more times, and that's her favorite Zelda game. Like, I've asked her what's her favorite Zelda game. She says that's her favorite Zelda game. If my daughter's saying that too, then that means that there's something about Breath of the Wild that just, it's not hitting the way that I'm guessing it was intended to. And I think that they're fixing a lot of the problems with Breath of the Wild for Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever they're going to call it. But I want to see A Link to the Past get remade in the same way Link's Awakening was. I think they can do that. I think that's something that's possible. I also want to see HD remasters of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Like, I want to see that too, so I can have it on the Switch. I mean, yeah, I have it on the 3DS, but I don't want to play it on the 3DS. I want to play it on console, like I did Ocarina of Time when it first came out on the N64. Same thing, Majora's Mask. You know, like, I can connect my N64 and play Majora's Mask. But I want it on the Switch. I want to see those nice HD textures, you know, like, just give it to us. But anyways, let me know down in the comment section what your opinion is. Did you buy Skyward Sword? Did you play it? Did you beat it? What's your favorite Zelda game? I want to know all of that. Let's have the conversation down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.